How did you beat Canelo? How would you fight Canelo? He's coming at you. You know he's coming at you with hell.
Dog it out. I say
using your jab and dogging it out.
Sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire.
No doubt about it. You're forced
sometimes
to.
You fight it.
In that ring, you're forced to sometimes.
Yeah.
I can see why
they scared of him.
Then why you not fighting Canelo?
Sure, I'm just waiting. It's not like it was whenever when you was coming up in boxing. Like I gotta go through managers.
Oh, you sit, listen. You just start talking about his mother, his family,
that
and you get a fight.
That'll make him not want to fight.
No,
boxing different now.
No, look,
it's different now.
No, but look, I seen him at the fight, the last Nello fight, and he was over there ringside kind of calling him out. I felt like, I don't know what he said, but it looked like he wanted some of that.
Nah, it was too friendly.
Not up to me,
it was too friendly.
Right,
friendly. It's too friendly. You gotta be like the Roberto the man. Suck this. Give me this. Get in the ring. We sign the contract.
Right.
When you in this business, your whole purpose is to crush the world to your feet, man. Motherfucker out there think he could beat you. Get the out of here.
Facts.
That's just real talk.
And you know what? It's easy to create that buzz with the social media too. You
should be fighting. They gonna wait till you get out of your prime, then fight you, man. You should be fighting them right now in the best prime. You should be calling them out.
I think he's the best anyway at that.
Well, I think that too, but I need him to prove it.
All of
them. He won't benefit.
He won't
shit. He won't. The real one of the homies shit. We can get in there and tangle.
Call him some name. Call him some. Say something else. Call him that. Say something like that.
I don't gotta disrespect him. Let him know. Mike, it ain't like that. It ain't like that no more.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Stop for the
That was the one and only the myth, the legend, Mike Tyson himself telling Jermall Charlo the only way to get the fights with the fighters that's avoiding you, such as Canelo Alvarez, you have to be willing to disrespect them. Essentially, that's the only method that's gonna work. Now that's what Mike Tyson believes. This is what Mike Tyson said, which is exactly what I have been telling these fighters all along. There is no limit to how far a fighter should go when it comes to disrespecting a fighter that's ducking, such as Canelo Alvarez. You have to call a spade a spade. You have to call a duck a duck. And the more outrageous a fighter can be, the better his chances get at landing the fight with a duck. Well, you may say, since that method works, how come Andrade hasn't gotten a fight with Canelo Alvarez, even though he has violated Canelo Alvarez more than anybody has, and he still couldn't get the fight? Canelo still turned down $40 million guaranteed, his highest payday at that time, for an undisputed fight with Demetrius Andrade. That still didn't work. Now, first of all, Andrade has a better chance of getting the Canelo fight if he continues to disrespect Canelo, more than if he doesn't. We already have Canelo on tape saying that he will never fight Andrade because he's a horrible fighter. Meanwhile, he said never say never to a Jake Paul fight or Usman. That alone ruins Canelo Alvarez's legacy. The fact that he's willing to fight a YouTuber and a UFC fighter while Canelo is in his prime. Meanwhile, he refuses to fight one of the fabulous four of his time, Demetrius Andrade, for undisputed. After Canelo set a goal for himself to become undisputed at middleweight and be the first Mexican to do it. However, Canelo gave up on his goal just to duck a fighter on the coincidental list that he felt will beat him. That fact alone will have Canelo go down as the undisputed duck in the history of boxing, along with Kambosos, Tio, so on and so forth. Therefore, like Mike Tyson said, the key point here is this is the social media era. Whatever happened yesterday is old news today, which means these fighters have to remind people of these facts every single chance they get. Both Charlo and Andrade need to be telling the public every single chance they get the factual information, such as that Canelo turned down $45 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view to fight Charlo, such as that Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF Witness Protection franchise, where he requested the franchise protection the moment Charlo became his mandatory. Andrade also needs to be reminding the public how Canelo claims he only fights for titles, he only fights for belts, But ironically, when Canelo was Andrade mandatory at 154, he petitioned to the WBO not to fight Demetrius Andrade. Just like Ryan petitioned as a mandatory to Devin Haney not to fight Devin Haney. And how Canelo claims today that he fights for titles, but he turned down a fight for undisputed with Andrade. There's also David Benavidez, where Canelo Alvarez turned down $55 million guarantee plus pay-per-view in order to avoid his mandatory Benavidez that he stole the belt from like a thief. Benavidez needs to be telling Canelo, you're gonna turn down $55 million to fight me, but fight Ivini, coming off a loss and a 2-year layoff, for only $15 million flat. Canelo turned down 4 to 5 times that amount of money to fight Benavidez. If you notice, it's a pattern where Canelo turns down the biggest money fights for the biggest legacy fights against the most dangerous fighters, aka the horrible fighters. Then he turns around to go after the weakest links for whatever money. This is what Canelo has been doing for the past decade in boxing, is go after the weakest links and unknown fighters from Europe. Then every 4 years, take a decent tough fight, like a Gennady Golovkin, Lara, and if you lose to them, rob them with a pen and a paper. This is what Canelo has been doing, and instead of Andrade, Charlo, Benavidez, so on and so forth, calling Canelo as the European undisputed pound-for-pound duck in boxing, they do the contrary. They call him the best for ducking them, which is hilarious because they afraid of his fans. They afraid of the comment section, which is the ultimate problem. They use social media against them than for them. Now, I understand if you're receiving backlash because you ducking someone, then of course that's gonna bother you. You're not even gonna be able to look at yourself the same in the mirror. But if you did not do anything wrong and you simply want to fight the best to prove that you are the best, then these fighters need to understand they do not need to worry about the keyboard warriors in the comment section by the Canelo fangirls, especially if they can beat 99.99% of the population on earth. It always amazes me how fighters fight for a living, but afraid of the comment section for doing something right. And they will change their ways. They will call Canelo the best simply because that's the popular narrative. It's like having 100 people in a room where 99 people are claiming that 2 + 2 is 4. Now, even though you know 2 + 2 is 4, you might even question yourself because everyone else is saying 5. That's what I mean by the popular narrative. It doesn't mean it's right. All it means, that's the popular opinion, thanks to the old media machine pushing their agenda. So when the old media say, Canelo is pound for pound #1, that's equivalence of saying 2 + 2 = 5. Then when the fighters hear it, they run with it, even though they don't really believe it. Just pay attention to what these fighters are saying. Shakur said, I will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Jaron Ennis will beat Canelo. Devin Haney's dream fight is with Canelo. Jermall Charlo said, Canelo needs to take a tough fight. He needs to stop taking these easy fights. Blair the Flair said the same thing. Errol Spence also called out Canelo. He believes he could beat Canelo. Charlo said the same thing. Benavidez said the same thing. On the other hand, Chavez Sr., Barrera, Morales, Marquez, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, and even Mike Tyson, they all told Canelo Alvarez to take on the Fabulous Four of his time. The fighters you guys see on the screen. The fighters Canelo was offered the biggest payday to fight, and he refused to fight in order to fight fighters that only comes for a payday. That's right. Mike Tyson even told Canelo, that guy you fought last time, he only showed up for a payday. He really could have got himself hurt. When are you going to fight Charlo or Benavidez?
So tell us, man, what's this all about, man? Who's the next guy you planning on fighting? I was at your last fight, man. This guy, the guy didn't come and killed him, man. He went there to make a payday.
No.
And guess what? Canelo continues to fight cherry picks and ducking Charlo, Benavidez, and Andrade to this day. Like Canelo said, y'all accuse me of ducking everybody, which he's exactly right. He's not ducking one body, two body. He's ducking everybody. But the irony of it all, these exact fighters that he's ducking are calling him the best, thinking they could sweet talk Canelo into a fight. Well, they got the game effed up, because that's like begging Canelo to a fight. But you only could beg Canelo into a fight if you're the weakest link, not the toughest link. They should be disrespecting Canelo till they get the fight. Like Mike Tyson said, take advantage of the social media. Don't be nice trying to get liked, because you have to be in a different profession for that. You should have been an actor if you want to be liked. I get hate just for simply reporting the truth. You think I'm going to ignore the facts just because I'm receiving hate? Absolutely not. Well, to all of the fighters out there, do you want to change the fact that you want to be the best just because you're receiving hate? Absolutely not. You should be calling Canelo, disrespecting Canelo every single chance you get on social media, because you talking to the world. You talking to Canelo and his fans. You can't beat that right there. It's not about what others gonna do for you. It's about what are you willing to do for yourself. Because if the fighters put it out there, the media will jump all over it. However, the problem is some of the biggest boogeymen fight once a year and do an interview once a year. So outside of their fight week, you barely hear about them, which is the ultimate problem. Can you just imagine how much Muhammad Ali will take advantage of social media when he was calling out Sonny Liston and drove a bus to his home? That's the type of stuff you have to do to Canelo in order to land a fight if you're a fighter on the coincidental list, and you have to do it consistently. You can't just have Canelo ignore you once and all of a sudden you give up. Because if you did, well, guess what? Whatever Canelo did worked. You have to be stubborn like a dog and on Canelo's tail, where Canelo and his fans know this problem right here is not going to go away. Instead, some of these fighters go away with the win just because they're afraid of the comment section when they fight for a living. I actually remember Charlo calling out Canelo heavy 6 years ago when he was a champion and Canelo was not a champion. Then all of a sudden, Charlo stopped calling out Canelo. If you wonder why, Charlo said, Canelo has a lot of fans, man. I don't want no smoke with his fans. Leave me alone. Man, some of these fighters' biggest fear is the comment section. I'm telling you. And they use the social media against themselves instead of for themselves. How are you afraid of the comment section when you are doing nothing wrong? What's the matter with you? You think Floyd Mayweather cared about getting booed when he was fighting? You think Floyd Mayweather cared about the people that's hating on him when he called out the best to fight the best, then beat the best? He turned the hate to fuel, to motivation, to cash. That's why Charlo is nowhere near being close to Floyd Mayweather when it comes to anything. His heart, his belief in himself, his skills, him wanting to fight the best, and not giving a damn about the comment section. In fact, if Floyd Mayweather was in Charlo's shoes today, he would have fought Benavidez like yesterday. Remember, Floyd Mayweather fought the biggest boogeyman, Corrales. Floyd didn't say when he was 24 years old, oh man, Corrales is too big. I'm not going to fight him. Absolutely not. He met the challenge head on. See, I know Charlo is not in the same division as Benavidez, but guess what? You called him out. So you have to back up your word. Yes, I know Canelo turned down a fight. I know Munguia turned down a fight. I know Gennady Golovkin turned down a fight with Charlo. Then guess what? That's more of a reason to go after Benavidez. Charlo can't say Benavidez is not a big enough name. Meanwhile, he's fighting Zaleski, Andrade leftovers. Charlo can't even hide the fact that he shook off Benavidez.
Getting it set up, at a time it started getting a little different. Like, You had a Mexican fighter, Russian fighter, then a black fighter.
They all gotta take.
They all got to get it, but
that's even more.
It's all about marketing, though. Now, Mike.
What's better than to watch a Russian fighter fight a black American fighter? What's harder than anything?
What's harder than making GGG and Jermall Charlo?
Triple G?
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't want to fight you. That's the only reason the fight's not happening.
But I thought you said that can't.
No, you got to say, listen, you're a coward. Tell everybody right now that you don't want to fight me. Say I want to fight you. Tell everybody right now you don't want to fight me because the fight, you know, you got to know how to get in that
That's
skin.
marketing. That's all the marketing strategy. But sometimes it'll like, you can scare the promoter off, scare the fighter off.
If I didn't scare promoter off, you know, I was the promoter's dream.
Yeah, because you had a bigger draw behind you. Like, everybody coming to see Mike Tyson.
Everybody knows you, too.
You had 50, with like 50 first round.
Hey, listen, you live in the era of just cameras, man. Everybody knows the hell you are.
Everybody know you.
When I was champ of the world, in 1986, more people know who you are than knew who I was when I was in champ in 1986. Listen, that's how the world goes. It doesn't wait for nobody. You don't care how great a society think you, it keeps going. If you don't keep up, bye-bye. Like, you ever think about Benavidez? Would you fight him?
I fight him for sure. Yeah.
Then why you not getting?
You said he fight anybody. He ready.
Right. You know that.
I know. Why they not letting you fight this guy? This guy got me calling him the Mexican monk. Everybody's scared of this guy. And I hear you saying you want to fight him.
I just think his value is low. It's not worth as much as
fighting a fight like
Canelo. I'd rather like get one of the best in the world right now that got a belt.
Then why you not fighting?
Furthermore, I'm gonna make a video on the old media deception, brainwashing all of the casual fans to believing Canelo is #1 when he's the #1 pound for pound when it comes to ducking. You could say Canelo is the most popular. He's the most liked, but he is not the best. Even Mike Tyson told Charlo during this interview that he believes you the best. You can beat anybody.
They gonna wait till you get out of your prime, then fight you, man. You should be fighting them right now in the best prime. You should be calling them out.
I think he's the best anyway at that point.
Well, I think that too, but I need him to prove it.
You can beat anybody. When he said you, he's talking about Charlo. Well, guess what? That anybody includes Canelo. So that only means Canelo is the best when it comes to fighting the weakest opposition. Because we all know if the current pound for pound #1 king, Terrence Crawford, is in Canelo's shoes, he would have fought Benavidez, Charlo, and Andrade all in the same year. You see, after Crawford became undisputed at 140, he also wants to repeat that at the deepest division in boxing at 147 by fighting Errol Spence, then fighting the winner of Charlo versus Castano at 154. So we all know for a fact that Crawford goes out of his way to fight the best. Meanwhile, Canelo goes out of his way to duck the best in order to fight the weakest links and becomes undisputed in the weakest division possible. It's called making up history. That's what Canelo Alvarez does. So yeah, you hear Devin Haney say Canelo is the pound for pound king. But he also said Canelo entire camp is on steroids, is on that shit, right? He also said the franchise is the duck belt and Canelo is the pioneer of the NBF franchise, which means we know Canelo would have ducked Devin Haney if they were in the same division, just like he ducked Jermall Charlo. You also have Mike Tyson who said Canelo is the best. Then he says Tank is the best. Then he told Charlo, you can beat anybody, you just avoid it. Avoided by who? Canelo. Therefore, we all know what time it is. Canelo is not the best. You can't be the fastest man in the world if you race only against the slowest men in the world. To make matters worse, the last time Canelo raced against an undefeated Black American fighter, he got smoked and hasn't raced an undefeated Black American fighter since then. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.
Well, tell me, so like, what's the difference now from like your era to today? Like, what's the difference? Is it because of the promoters, the TV networks that everybody not matching up?
Market yourself.
No one was afraid of anyone. Everyone really believed they can beat him.
But it's a business, more business, it's more money than ever before.
Well, Mayweather changed the game of it when he turned into the pretty boy.
Yeah, that was cool too. But he had to get in that ring and fight too. He had to fight the best competitor. He wiped everybody out. And that's why he's who he is. He beat everybody. He beat everybody I thought would give him a chance. He's wiped everybody out. Nobody can even match him. The best. He didn't pick guys. He took the best. Yeah. Even the guys I picked against him, he beat everybody, made everybody wrong.
Right.
And that's why he's who he is. Yeah, but Floyd, Floyd's just a bad nigga. Even though people don't like him, they gotta give him his fucking praise.
Like him.
You gotta give him his praise.
He just definitely mastered the marketing.
Absolutely.
The marketing field of boxing.
Absolutely.
Like, he turned boxing into like you market yourself. Now Jake Paul.
Yeah, Floyd did change the game.
Look at